How much would you watch that movie? A movie of Jewish Olympic
40,
tryouts?
40-year-old Josh trying out for Israeli Olympics? Yes.
So at the end of the practice yesterday, they literally brought in, it must have been an 80 of Manischewitz and made everyone do Kiddush and Challah in the locker room.
That is the best. That is the best part of that story.
That's amazing. Here we are, and welcome to a nuptial edition of the Friday Night Movie Podcast. Because
we're marrying each other, the way you said that, that's super.
Kind of gross.
People already think we're weirdly too close.
All right, that's
sibling
super
best
gross.
friends.
This is a wedding themed episode because
there we go.
Our cousin Shelly is marrying the amazing Devin. This is a tribute to them. They're getting married next weekend. We are so excited. We love them so much. They've even come to the Friday Night Movie, helped us at the Friday Night Movie booth at All-Star Comic-Con. And in addition to that, we have an expert on weddings. We know this because not only did he have his own wedding, but he was the best man at my wedding. Josh is back for a few minutes. We have him calling in as part of our official wedding correspondence for this wedding themed episode. So we're going to talk all about movie weddings and wedding stories and things like that. Josh, we've been to so many weddings together. The one that comes to my mind first is at our friend Bobby Button's, another frequent guest of the podcast's wedding. And it was there's a Jewish tradition of the couple sitting down in the middle of the hora at some of the more advanced horas, and people taking turns doing Jewish folk dance moves in front of them. And there's someone will always pretend to be a bull, and someone is a matador with a napkin, and then there's someone who always does the kick dance, the Russian kick dance. And it came to my turn, and I was really excited because it was an exciting wedding, Bobby and Becca getting married. And I jumped in the air to do splits and didn't just rip my pants, tore the entire back from the butt to the ankle of my pants. And this was in the first 15 minutes of the party because it was at the hora. So for the rest of the wedding,
just for the record, oh my crying. Just for the record, you're married at this point, right?
Yep. Yeah. So Shai tied a flannel around his tuxedo, I'm sure.
I'm just saying, you already have a wife, so you're good, right?
Yeah. But
I had a wardrobe malfunction. I had a wardrobe malfunction at Josh's wedding.
Yeah,
I had a pretty epic wardrobe malfunction at Josh's
wedding. Wait,
really?
I need to hear I need to hear. Yeah. What did you do? Did you borrow pants from a waiter the time we went to a restaurant? And one time I went to a restaurant with Shai and he wore shorts and it was a very fancy place and they were no. And they made him take a pair of pants from a waiter and they barely fit. So
they were little Spanish European sizes. Okay. Well, I untucked my shirt and just hoped that it would go below my underwear. So even though my leg was hanging out for the rest of this wedding, I still have the pants. I still have the pants. I wanted to make a baby
back together.
No, they are unusable. I was going to make a baby blanket for Mark and his children. Okay, Josh, you're the best man at my wedding. What's a wedding story you have?
So while you were talking, I thought of 4 wedding stories, 4 things at weddings that were funny to me. So I'm going to go with Bobby Button's wedding story. This is actually at our dear friend Naomi's wedding. And Naomi and Mark, so for those who don't know, Bobby Button's name, is actually Mark. And so when Naomi started dating and then later married Mark, I think we christened the name of Mark 1 and Mark 2, and Naomi's dad actually referred to Bobby and the groom as Mark 1 and Mark 2 in his wedding speech. And since then, in my phone, Bobby is actually listed as Mark 2. So that's one.
That's amazing.
Right,
Two was at Newman's wedding, our friend Newman, who got married. And all of a sudden in the middle of the wedding, everyone started turning and like, is something burning? And I'm pretty sure there were like some drapes that caught on fire at Newman's wedding.
That's amazing.
I think at my wedding, the thing that I remember about my wedding was we had the longest hora in history, and we're pretty sure that Ron Jeremy was the bass player. I don't know if you remember that.
No.
I mean, I also hope you remember marrying Danielle.
Vaguely. I was there. And then the other thought that I had as we were talking was, at the time that Wedding Crashers came out, I was actually crashing a lot of Montreal weddings because it was a great place to go and get free drinks.
Well, that's like a whole thing in Montreal.
People don't really get that in Montreal, wedding crashing is built into the culture. Like, there is a part of the night where all the people from the Jewish community who weren't invited
show
just
up.
Come.
Right.
And party.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we used to do that, and then I was like, "Oh, they made a movie about us. This is amazing." Except I'm not friends with Owen Wilson or Vince Vaughn.
That is a tough cultural thing to get people used to when you're a Montreal Jewish person and you're used to these like
just come to the wedding after.
Yeah, just come for the dancing.
After dinner.
Come for the drinks and dancing. Yeah, no one gets that.
Yeah, there's like 500 people at most of the weddings, and it's all the same people. It's just like that's the activity that week in town.
Yep. Hey, you knew you were at a good Montreal Jewish wedding if you made it to the point where Adam Cortez tied his tie around his head in a sideways bandana.
I know what you're talking about. Yes.
That is the mark of a Montreal wedding being successful, was Adam Cortez reaching the point where he was so drunk that he would tie that around his head.
Yep.
Adam, I'm sorry I didn't invite you to my wedding.
I don't know if
but it's okay. Shai wasn't probably not, but Shai didn't invite me to his bar mitzvah, so we're even.
Oh my goodness, we just met each other. My bar mitzvah was like the first one in high school. Very stressful.
Does it count as
new friends?
Does it count as a wedding story? That the other thing I thought of was my first Iraqi bar mitzvah, and I thought of Ian Michelle's bar mitzvah. I was like, holy cow, there's belly dancers here.
Yeah, that was another thing. Yeah. If you grew up in Montreal, there were belly dancers and there was belly dancers at Ian's wedding. Ian's wedding was amazing. Oh, well,
at my very dear best friend Ruth, who's Iraqi, at her wedding there was like belly dancing and like drum circle and like henna, and it was amazing. It was Ian's
wedding was the same thing. Totally amazing. But yeah, like when you're a 13-year-old and you go to a wedding and there's like belly dancers, your brain explodes. Like you're like,
wait, so like Josh, you don't know the story? Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
I would say, Josh, I can't believe, Josh, you don't know the story of my wardrobe malfunction at your wedding.
I was going to ask, I know Danielle had a wardrobe malfunction at my wedding, but what was yours?
Becky was like
definitely more important than mine. So I had borrowed a dress from a friend of mine. It was my friend's mother's dress. It was a designer dress, like a couture dress that I can't believe she lent to me because I didn't have anything black tie to wear to your wedding. And it's like a silk Dolce & Gabbana dress.
Nice.
And at the very beginning of the wedding, you're talking like, I think
right after the ceremony,
we're walking into the ceremony. We're walking into where the reception is. Some elderly gentleman has a cup of coffee, bumps into me and pours the entire full cup of coffee down the front of the dress and soaks this Dolce & Gabbana dress in coffee. I'm standing with Lily. I panic, like, because I would never be able to replace this dress. All my bat mitzvah money, wouldn't replace this dress. So Lily takes me to the bathroom, takes off the dress, immediately starts soaking it in like cold water. And I'm in my underwear.
I know what to do.
Lily knows what to do. So I'm standing in my
pour
underwear.
A little seltzer on it.
And high heels in the bathroom. While Lily is cleaning my dress. And then women are coming in the bathroom
including, by the way, my then fiance, who we'd just gotten engaged, I remember her coming back from the bathroom being like, just so you know, your sister has no clothes and she's in the bathroom right now.
Yeah.
So, but there were women coming in who thought this was so hysterical. They were like posing for pictures with me. So there are pictures of me out there somewhere in my underwear in the bathroom at your wedding with other women taking photos with me. So now I have this sopping, I am telling you, sopping wet silk dress.
Way to go, Lily.
What do you do?
Right.
I didn't even know what you do.
Hey, I
Lily,
saved the dress.
She wrung it out.
She
put me back in the dress. Now it was summer, right? So it's not like I had a coat or anything.
It was June.
She walked me out to the front, got me a cab, put me in a cab, sent me back to the hotel. Right? I'm soaking. I go back to the hotel.
You had a backup dress.
I had a backup dress because I didn't know which one I should wear because the backup dress was like very flashy. So I decided I wasn't going to wear the backup dress because it was like a very flashy dress. It was like bright red. So I wore this like more mature adult dress, but I had to now switch into this like fire engine red dress that's like frills and has like ruffles. And I come back to your wedding now in a completely different.
So not only did you have the flashy dress, but you did a wardrobe change to show it off. Okay, nicely done.
I think that's just showing off your style.
I've
never heard that story until today.
And Lily saved the Dolce dress. No one was ever the wiser.
Everyone has secret wedding stories, things they don't find out, like things people keep from them for either days or years, where like they don't know, like, oh yeah, no, we had to separate those two people. Oh, there was a fight. Oh, that thing caught on fire.
All sorts of
there was a fight over seats in the front row of your wedding ceremony, which happened at my wedding, but I will not get into further details.
You know what I remember? I just remembered at Howie's wedding, actually, in some weddings, people have to hold the chuppah. So I was holding the chuppah at Howie's wedding. And I feel like there was either an uneven level of people holding it in terms of height or just ability to hold it the whole time. And I remember just sweating profusely, trying to make eyes at the other people being like, don't drop this. Do not drop the chuppah while they are getting married. And it was
That's amazing. I didn't know that. That's a good one.
All right, let's talk movies and movie weddings. What makes a good movie wedding? We'll get into some Buy Rent or Man in a little bit, but just like big picture criteria. Like for me, a movie wedding, it has to be a great couple. I have to believe in them.
100%.
Or the couple
like the
is not in the or the couple or I was gonna say the couple or they're not in the movie. Like they're not an important part of the
couple.
Right.
It has to do with
or it has to be a great couple, or I want nothing. I don't want to see them.
So
like
Josh,
in The Hangover.
So Josh, the officiator, who comes to mind when you think of the officiator?
The first one I thought of, and this is probably my last comment before I have to jump, is Mr. Bean. Didn't he officiate a wedding in a movie?
Did he?
Yes.
Oh yes.
Isn't it like
is it the wedding and a funeral that he officiates one of them?
I don't know if it could be. I'm gonna
Rowan
check it out
Atkinson.
now.
You're right. It's a hilarious scene
it's
where
so
he's like
funny.
This,
and then of course there's in The Princess Bride
Marriage. That was the one that I was
most iconic ones.
Oh,
I'm gonna say I think the wedding band is critical.
Oh,
isn't it? Is it at the end? In
particular, in the wedding singer.
The wedding singer, yeah, the wedding singer, of course. But which is that the one where at the end he just keeps cursing? The singer keeps. Which is the wedding band where at the end?
Oh no, that's an old school. The Dan band where they put all the. I forgot about. I'm gonna go. We should rewatch.
When he just keeps like inserting the curse words, like right. You sure it's from old school?
Yeah. Where he introduced, where he puts all over. They're doing like Total Eclipse of the Heart. That's a real band though. They tour. They're called the Dan Band.
Hilarious.
They've come to DC.
Yeah, so I think a great band also makes. Oh,
all right. Thanks for dropping in, Josh.
Hey guys, thank you for having me. Great to see you guys. I will.
Thank you so much.
Look forward to hearing further on your elaboration of what makes good movie weddings.
What an awesome bonus guest. Thanks, man.
Absolutely.
All right. We gonna do more drop-ins. All right, let's
and wait, I feel bad for our audiences. I'm trying to fact check this Mr. Bean thing.
No, Rowan Atkinson was in 4 Weddings and a Funeral. It's definitely 4 Weddings.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
It's one of the weddings. And he's so funny because I think we talked about that movie with Sophia the other day.
Yeah.
Like that movie, like I haven't seen it in a million years, but that movie, like it was nominated for an Oscar for a reason. It's a really good dramedy comedy.
It is.
And that Rowan Atkinson scene, I remember laughing so hard. So that's such a great point though. The officiant Mowage. That's from Princess Bride. And then there's the officiant. The kids were watching Spaceballs the other day, and the officiant in Spaceballs is pretty funny. Oh, wait a minute. We could have done a whole episode just on wedding officiants. Hold on. Okay. There's one I'm thinking of right now, but you just have to guess what it is. Particularly Lily. Like You just need to know.
Do we get any hints?
Well, we've already named the Princess Bride. We've already, and listeners, see if you can guess this. We've already named the Princess Bride. We've already named
Four Weddings and a Funeral.
4 Weddings and a Funeral. Okay. Think similar era, maybe a little later, maybe a little bit earlier than some of those. Think similar era. Think surprise run-in wedding at the end. The wedding has to be delayed, so the officiant delays the wedding.
3 Men and a Little Lady.
3 Men and a Little Lady.
I got it.
Constipated Ted Danson at his best when he pretends to be that officiant. And as a kid, I didn't know, I wasn't good enough at guessing things when I was a kid. So I didn't realize that was him. And so I was never I was totally fooled. And I remember when he pulls the mask off and he's been insulted as an actor.
That's a fantastic sequel, by the way.
Yeah, that's file under great sequel movies.
I mean, how could you go wrong with Danson, Gutenberg, and Selick?
I
mean,
Nancy Travis with a
Fiona Shaw. Fiona Shaw is brilliant.
Yeah, she's always.
Oh yeah, funny. But Nancy Travis is in the last scene of the previous movie, and they were like, "No, we're going to make you one of the main characters," and it just made sense, right? They don't do that.
Also, I didn't realize that she wasn't British till recently. I thought she was British for sure. Oh, but Fiona Shaw's so great, where she's constantly hitting on Selick and trying to
Oh yeah, and then she becomes a hero at the end of that movie because when she realizes the kids, whatever, she's so heroic at the end of the movie.
She's such a great actress.
Okay, so those are all great, but the couple really means a lot to me. The wedding singer. The wedding singer, I don't even remember. I guess I remember the wedding scene at the end, but really what matters to me is that Julia Gulia and Robbie Hart end up together.
Right. I'm going to go on a limb. I think that's my favorite wedding movie.
Oh, that's definitely your favorite wedding movie, Lily. I mean,
right?
Everyone knows that about you. That's one of your favorite movies
of all time.
But I feel in honor of Shelly, we know that one of their family's all-time favorite movies, let alone favorite wedding movies, happens to be
recite verbatim
from beginning to end, happens to be Father of the Bride, which I feel we need to spend a few minutes paying homage to and talking about.
My Big Fat Greek Wedding. Those and My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
But Father of the Bride, I feel was always a special Mario, Mindy, Shelley movie. I always knew that growing up as their favorite movie.
Really? We watched it with our kids recently. And I do love that movie. When Steve Martin melts down over the hot dogs, I think of that every single time I go into a store. When he's tearing the hot dogs, he's just breaking down from planning the wedding. But also,
the Zacarias family favorite movies are A League of Their Own, Father of the Bride, My Big Fat Greek Wedding. Everyone knows that.
And I Love You, Man. Also a wedding movie.
I Love You, Man. Also another wedding one, which I wanted to bring up in the discussion of Best Men.
That we will get to that. But yeah, I think Father of the Bride, without getting too deep, and us overthinking it, Father of the Bride, probably the best wedding movie.
I mean, it's pretty incredible. Yeah.
In the conventional sense, right? We're not
I mean, you have Steve Martin, Keaton, Martin Short.
I mean, what else
the couple's pretty adorable,
right? Too. But they're also sort of not
it's not really about them.
They're not.
It's not really about them.
But they're adorable. But again, they're not essential to the story. I think there's two key things about wedding movies, like I said before, where they're really important, like Julia Gulia and Robbie Hart, or it doesn't really matter. They're kind of benign, and it's everything else has to be amazing.
Right. There are some terrible wedding movies. Actually, we should.
Wedding movies.
27 Dresses is. I cannot stand that movie.
That Bride Wars movie with
which bums me out because Bride Wars is written by someone who I love, and I now need to double check to see who wrote Bride Wars. But
the new recent go ahead.
It's got great actors. And but it's not. It's really unpleasant. I watched that to tell you how. But just to give you a sense of, everyone knows I hate the beach. Oh, Casey Wilson. Yeah. So Casey Wilson wrote Bride Wars with June Diane Raphael. So like they're geniuses. I'm not taking away from whatever they wrote, but that movie is off-putting like hell. So if they ever listen to this podcast, June, Casey, we love you. We're geniuses. Just didn't like the movie. But but just to show you, you know, guys, I don't love the beach. I watched Bride Wars while sitting in the sand, like under a tent.
Oh, so it was like extra rubbing you the wrong way because you literally were just surrounded by.
Well, I was gonna say, I liked Bride Wars more than the beach.
That's saying a lot about
if you were forced to rank
it was
the two.
better than the beach. Bride Wars gets the
buy. But recently I will say that there was two movies that came out in like a weird theme that are similar, both during the pandemic, and I feel like we were just like starved for content, right? And so Netflix puts out a movie like a wedding rinse repeat or some shit with Sam Claflin.
I want to say I got like 30 or 40 minutes in before I was like not committing to this.
And
not worth it.
The one from the X-Men, Olivia Munn, and the two of them, and one of them made, first of all, the plot is like, it's like you're seeing the movie 3 times, like a Run Lola Run thing or something. Like,
is that what it was?
It's like, yeah, it's like things keep getting repeated and you got to watch the same thing and he gets a chance to, I don't know. But also the couple, like the whole thing, like they have no chemistry. It's just really bad. And then at the same time, there was like a wedding repeat movie with Palm Springs came out this year.
Which, you know, I want to go back to Palm Springs because I think at the time that we talked about it, I had a lot of bones to pick. But in the year since, I really do think about it a lot, and I want to go back and rewatch it because I'm like, I think it was actually pretty great.
I like that movie.
They had great chemistry,
and I think Kristen Milioti is awesome.
She's awesome. They did have great chemistry. It was really funny. It had some flaws, but I think like overall it was
a rewatch.
Super fun, and I'm gonna give it a rewatch. Yeah,
I just think it's funny that 2 movies that are like repetitive wedding like things over and over again came out this year.
Studios are always like,
well, there's a lot of Groundhog Day movies. There's like another Groundhog Day love story movie out on one of the channels that I keep getting previews for.
But it's like the same thing with like Deep Impact and Armageddon. They're like, oh, we're doing asteroid movies this year.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. All I'm saying is that one was terrible and one was good. So
okay. All right. Let's now dig into an epic game of Buy, Rent, Meh, but also is just a fun way to organize all of this. All right. Let's just start with big weddings. Everyone knows I had a big wedding. I wanted to like many brides.
You were a child.
Since I was a child, like since I saw The Godfather, if people asked if I ever weddings came up, I'm like, I want a Godfather wedding. Now, I wouldn't say my wedding was a Godfather wedding, but it was a pretty.
It wasn't not a Godfather wedding, Shai. It was bananas.
It was very big and it was very fun and the music was insane. So let's just talk about big weddings. There's and big, I wouldn't just say they're grand in their execution. There's The Godfather. The opening scenes of The Godfather, the original Godfather. There is Love Actually, where the horns come in and play All You Need Is Love, with is it Keira Knightley, where the videographer is in love with her. Then there is My Big Fat Greek Wedding, which by definition is a big wedding. Buy, Rent, or Meh, how do you rank those weddings?
I'm gonna go first. It's My Big Fat Greek Wedding because as Jews I feel like we could mostly relate to that, like on a deep level of the amount of people that get involved in someone's wedding planning,
and the aunts and the uncles and the cousins
right, and all that. So I think like, you know, that's a very special movie for anybody who comes from like a big family or like a very specific culture or whatever. So I think there's that. And then I would say The Godfather because it's so iconic. And also as a kid, you really think about it, it gives you something to look up to and say, oh, wow, I either don't want that, which was me, or Shai being like, this is amazing. And then obviously Last Love Actually, because she should have ended up with Andrew Lincoln from The Walking Dead.
But she didn't love him. Why should she end up with him?
Because he's so cute.
Although why is she like taking like, evening like romantic like door things? I feel like maybe she should have. That's my knock against that one. I'm like, are they really a happy couple if she's letting guys do romantic musical gestures to her like at the door without telling her husband? Like that's why that one's my meh. And then I will rent my Big Fat Greek Wedding just to pay respect for the Godfather, because again, this groom was always inspired.
I'm going to buy my Big Fat Greek Wedding because it's
learning so much about Shai in this episode.
No, I know. My Big Fat Greek Wedding because it just seems like the most fun of the three. Like, that's the wedding I'd go to over and over again.
That's the wedding we've essentially gone to.
We've gone to over and over again.
All right. There's another convention in.
And wait, can we just say, like, if we had to make a comparison, like Devin, I would say is a little bit, John Corbett, and Shelly is coming from the big Jewish Cuban family, and he's from. Also, he had to convert, and Devin also converted.
It's
so
true.
I feel like there's like a lot of comparisons.
Actually. But I think Devin eats meat and lamb. So no problem.
That's like one of the most repeated lines in our family. You don't eat meat. Okay.
I'll make lamb. That literally happens to me all the time with my mother-in-law. I'm like, no, I don't eat pork. She's like, it's okay. I'll make you some jamon. It's fine. Have a little jamon serrano. No problem.
All right. There's another convention that is a little like more edgy, which are the violent weddings. Now, we really stuck to movies, but this is the only place where some TV is going to get in here, because I think the most famous violent wedding of all time is now the Red Wedding from Game of Thrones. So we have the Red Wedding. There's like a wedding in Kill Bill, right? Like I was pretty sure she's the bride.
She's the bride, yeah.
She's like shot on her wedding, and that's sort of how the thing starts.
The whole story starts.
And then Ready or Not, which I think channels Kill Bill vibes with
her
Samara
being
Weaving.
being in the wedding.
Adam Brody and that movie is so good. I love that. That's definitely the movie I love the most. But buy, rent, or man these violent weddings. Which ones? Becky? Who would you buy?
Well, I haven't seen Ready or Not.
What?
But...
That's what we're doing.
What?
We have to Becky. Do that. Oh my God, Becky.
That's found money, dude.
This is an activity that we are going to have to do.
So based on this enthusiasm and how I feel about the other two weddings, I will buy that.
Becky, it's also so Canadian. Donnie from Orphan Black is
Black.
Oh my God, I love sneaky Canadian content. So I'm going to buy that. I'm going to the other two. No one's even getting a rent because the Red Wedding was like so traumatic. And I just don't like when pregnant women get hurt. So I'm mehing the other two.
In both of those pregnant women get.
I know, that's what I'm saying. But I guess at least in Kill Bill, the baby survives and she survives, and then she eventually gets her revenge. So maybe that's my rent. And Red Wedding is my meh because you know what? Upon reflection, was that show really that good? I'm not so sure.
I feel like that show in the final season just reminded people what I always thought about the show is that it was all right.
It was all right. It was like good in the moment because we were all watching it, but like, isn't that good?
That's what I would say. So. Yeah, it was good in the moment.
It was good. Good in the moment. I find the first three seasons of that show. So to me, the first three seasons are terrible, and the last season is half good. So in a
season 5, there's like one good season.
The one with the Battle of the Bastards is the good season.
Season 5.
The rest of it is like, all right. I'll share a rare bleh for the Red Wedding because to me it's like probably the most awful thing I've ever seen on television. But I'm gonna meh Kill Bill because that is a Tarantino movie I still have never connected to, and then I'm gonna buy Ready or Not because I love that movie.
Okay, so I was right. A buy with a double meh.
Well, I reserved a bleh. You get a few blehs per year.
I didn't know we were pulling out sneaky blehs. Okay, fine.
For the but the Red Wedding would be one of my blehs. I don't know if it's one of your blehs. Like for me, that's one of my if you had a list of 5 things in the world that get a bleh, The Last Jedi, The Red Wedding are on that list.
Fair enough.
I worked The Last Jedi into the conversation about
always.
Lily,
we're talking Blez, there's always room.
Pretty much the same, but my only bleh for Red Wedding or meh is because I watched it a few years, like maybe like 2 years after everybody had seen it. Like I was a bit behind, and it was so talked about. Like everybody talked about it, and then when I finally got to it, I was like, okay.
Well, that's because in your house where you watch horror movies all the time,
that's
like a kid's show, right? Like that's what they watch in preschool where you live.
But anyways, yeah, I agree with you guys.
Okay.
Next.
All right. Next up, we have destination weddings, but the category is not fully filled out. So I'll start with the first two, and we'll just have to think up the third destination.
But because you know why? I was gonna write Forgetting Sarah Marshall, but then I couldn't remember if that was a wedding movie. It's not, right?
It's just a destination movie. There's no wedding.
I was gonna add that in, and then I stopped, and then I forgot to put in another one.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, we have Crazy Rich Asians. We have Mike and Dave.
We have to come up with another one.
Well, Wedding Crashers count?
I mean, I didn't.
Wedding Crashers, aren't they getting married on like the Cape or something? Isn't that something?
No, it's after the wedding. They're invited to go to the family. Oh. They crash wedding and they're invited to go. Okay, so that's not really to this event, and then to the family getaway. But what about? I mean, I didn't actually see it, but what about the movie that's literally called Destination Wedding? Okay, so I was Winona Ryder and Keanu Reeves.
Okay, let's put that in there.
I was going to put that in there.
Nothing about this category inspires me, so I'm going to buy that one.
I was going to put that in there because
I heard it was terrible, but I really want to see it because they're
Becky.
Both
let's watch it together. Let's watch it together. In the 90s, I would have loved that movie. The two of them in a movie together. Well, they were in Dracula together, but then like back together in like a rom-com. This is like perfection. As an adult, I'm like, I don't have time for this. But I will watch that.
I think I do have time for it. I'm pretty sure I have time for it.
But let's watch it together.
Okay.
So
Dracula's probably a wedding movie, right? Maybe. In Spain.
There's kind of a waiting.
In Spain, it's a rom-com.
I mean, you got to buy Crazy Rich Asians. That's a great movie. The other two are great movie
and such amazing. Like the wedding scenes are like pretty.
I think I just really wanted to find a way to make sure we talked about Crazy Rich Asians.
I feel like if you're going to talk about a Godfather wedding, you got to talk about Crazy Rich Asians wedding, because like it's not even just the wedding; it's all the events around the wedding that are just like, ugh.
That would be so fun.
Also, I got to tell you, I want to do an aside because we just watched Raya and the Last Dragon, which I thought was fine. But I am like doubling and tripling down on thinking Awkwafina is one of the funniest, but also like she really knows how to tug at heartstrings. Like I think Awkwafina is just like quintuple threat of genius. And so,
you talk about wedding movies. What about the farewell? That's also a destination wedding movie.
Mm-hmm. I haven't seen that one yet.
I loved that movie and I loved her in it. I thought it was so special. It was amazing. Really, really wonderful film.
Her show Nora from Queens, which is like, good. It's like really, really good, and she is so funny. I mean, and again, this movie Raya and the Last Dragon, it's more of your typical like Disney animated. Like, like someone was like, what have we not done yet? Let's mix How to Train Your Dragon with Frozen. And the people will turn to stone instead of ice. The dragon will control water instead of ice. And like, and so it was the same, but Awkwafina's voice performance in it, like I couldn't stop watching it. It was amazing. So good on her. All right, let's now talk about, this is a great category. Lily, why don't you introduce this category? Because you came up with this, right?
Maybe.
The best man, best woman?
Well, I came up
I added to it.
Oh, okay. Becky, you take us to it.
It was the best man category, and I did /woman.
This is going to be really hard.
So it's the best man, because, and the reason I thought of this is because Josh, who was on our pod, he dropped into the pod earlier, has kind of become a bit, I feel like, of an urban legend of the best man, He was he gave the best man speech. Whenever you talk to Tio Mario, who is the father of the bride this weekend. So exciting. Tio Mario
Tio Mario always says, Josh gave the best man speech of all time, because his best man speech was hilarious in my way. It was
so I don't remember it, but I'd like to see a video, because I keep hearing the lore around the best man speech. So it got me thinking about who are the best men in movies, and what makes them.
And women. I added
here's the thing.
category.
I'm curious. I had to look at your notes to see who you added, because then I was like, I feel like all the bridesmaids are the worst people in the world. Like, who's actually a good
Melissa McCarthy?
But she's not the maid of honor.
She's not the maid of honor.
But
I guess she's in the wedding. But I'm saying is that the maid of honors are usually terrible human beings.
That's a good point, because that's why I thought about
other
it.
Bridesmaids.
I was like, Kristen Wiig is a horrible maid of honor.
She's horrible, as is Rose Byrne. Like, they're both pretty terrible as like.
Oh, right.
Right.
That's two essentially maids.
Right. So I'm like, generally, I feel like
I would have upgraded Melissa McCarthy and Wendy
portrayed.
McClendon-Covey in a second, because they are hilarious and amazing in that.
But okay. So we'll talk about what makes the best man, and then maybe.
Wait, I really feel like we've just uncovered
parties. Something
serious,
very sexist,
sexist and terrible, and like, where's the awesome? Because even in that terrible movie,
I mean, also let's talk about our own failure here, that every single wedding we're talking about here is a straight wedding, right? So that's like a whole other issue.
Oh yeah, it's a straight wedding, and I'm pretty sure it's like all white people too.
Well, except Crazy Rich Asians
and Bridesmaids. Because the bride.
And Bridesmaids.
Oh right, yeah, that's true. So, but generally,
we are reflecting our own, biases and what we grew up watching here.
Yeah, and
I guess my big
clearly we didn't research this enough before we decided to do the episode.
Well, no, but it's not that. It's also what we've seen. Right. So there are lots of wedding movies with like a more diverse cast, but we just might not have seen those movies.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. But we've just we do acknowledge, though.
Although we did cover the
gaps in our knowledge here.
Sure, but also I think we did cover the Mediterranean group, Italy with the Godfather and the Greeks.
Okay, but we haven't actually talked about a single, African American wedding specifically, and we talked about the Greek traditions and how it reminds us of Jewish weddings, but we haven't talked about any of that.
Isn't there a Jewish wedding in a movie that we even think about, that we talk about?
Well, there was that one that was it Tony that told you to watch that Jewish? No,
that's
wedding?
called Shiva,
that's a funeral.
It's about a Shiva.
That's a funeral.
Never mind. That's a funeral.
But you know what? Well, this is the whole other. I'll get it. You know what? This is for the Secret podcast. We'll talk about it.
The point
I got some things about.
I'm glad we acknowledged that this is not any kind of definitive list. This is based on what we.
This is what we have grown up watching. Yeah,
right, exactly. So, and that's why we're playing Buy, Rent, or Man. We're not just ranking here. Okay. All right. So Buy, Rent, Man. Buy, Rent, Man. The best man, best woman. Jason Segel and I Love You Man. This is a category come up with by Lily and Becky. Phil/Stu in The Hangover. I'm not
sure. I'm not sure who is the best man. Is it Phil or is it Stu?
It's Phil.
Phil is the actual best man.
Who's Phil?
Bradley Cooper.
Bradley
Cooper
the best man? versus.
Yeah.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Is he the best man? Cooper. Okay.
Or is it
because here I'm going to make an argument for them. I prepared.
Right.
I was
we don't remember. We don't remember.
I'm going to make an argument.
And then, Kristen Wiig is technically let's put, if you're going to say Phil or Stu, then I think all of the bridesmaids get to compete in Bridesmaids, because if you just make it about Kristen Wiig, where it's this movie about her struggling, then she's not and in I Love You Man, the groomsmen all come in at the last minute, so they're not you can't count Lou Ferrigno the same way you're going to count Wendy McClendon-Covey. Okay, so this is a very uneven thing, but I Love You Man, the wedding party in I Love You Man, the wedding party in The Hangover, and the wedding party in
Okay, that's good.
That is a throwdown.
So here's what I want to say about Phil and Stu is that what happened to what's even the main character's name?
Doug?
Nobody knows.
Doug. What happened to Doug?
Oh, wow, Shai. How did
that was not their
Isn't
fault.
That Justin Bartha?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Zach Galifianakis drugs everyone and chaos ensues. That was not Phil and Stu's fault, but Phil and Stu worked their butts off the next day to piece everything together and find Doug and get him back on time. So they are really amazing, dedicated, best friend, best men who do everything in their power to
save the wedding.
Find their friend, rescue their friend, save the wedding, get him there on time. So I will say that even though some bad calls were made at the beginning of this, they didn't want Alan to come in the first place. You know, Alan was the one that caused all this trouble, and they are incredible friends, and they get him there on time, slightly sunburnt, but I really, if you honestly go back and rewatch it, it is still as funny.
So that first one, which I liked in the theater and then would go on to like love and watch over and over again, though.
Yeah.
But the drop off in the next movie,
it's quite severe. It's quite severe.
Awful. And then the drop off in the one after that is like fine, but the second one is so bad.
I never saw the others. I'm not going to taint the experience.
The first, anyways, it is so good, and I think they are incredible best men. So they are my buy. After that, I'm going to rent Melissa McCarthy.
The wedding party, or just Melissa McCarthy?
Oh, do I have
except for the two bitches in that movie, like Rose Byrne and Kristen Wiig, who are terrible. Everybody else is amazing.
I don't know.
So they should not be
Byrne
punished.
Really a bad bridesmaid? She does all these nice things for her friend.
I guess you're right, except that she kind of imposes herself on her. She makes her get that awful wedding dress.
But they make her look. You're seeing the movie through Kristen Wiig's eyes, but like Rose Byrne's just like
throwing money at her friend
and throwing money at her friend, and Kristen Wiig's giving everyone diarrhea. Like, I feel for Kristen Wiig's character. It's not an easy position to be in, but I don't know. Like, should we really be vilifying Rose Byrne's character?
So it's really just Kristen Wiig. So nobody should be punished for her.
Once she works her stuff out, she I don't remember the end. I just remember they do the like Wilson Phillips song at the end.
Right.
This is her and Maya Rudolph being awesome.
I don't quite remember, but I do remember. I don't like remember the details, but I do remember like Melissa McCarthy. It's not just that she's so funny, but she has such a good heart in the movie.
She ends up like bringing them back together.
She really believes in these women and I think goes above and beyond to like make things right. And even though she's like strange and quirky, she's true to herself. She's a great lesson all around. And I love you, man. And I love the Jason Segel, Paul Rudd bromance, but I'm going to admit, because I think that even though it has a great ending and Paul Rudd learns a lot from Jason Segel, he's also very selfish. And
Jason Segel's character?
Yes. Jason Segel's character is selfish and, puts his needs first, I think, and doesn't quite understand what his friend is struggling with. And so I'm going to
he makes life very difficult for
he makes it very difficult.
Like he almost breaks up his friend's marriage.
Yes.
Right. Wow, this was a very
I think Becky nailed it.
I think Becky really nailed it. Yeah, that's very compelling.
When I come prepared. That's saying.
Amazing. All right. Now, this is probably the biggest convention. There are millions of these, but I'm just going to go with the three I could remember. These are interrupted weddings. The Graduate, Sweet Home Alabama, and, does the wedding singer count because they're on the way to the wedding when he goes on the plane?
Yeah.
And in Sweet Home Alabama, that Josh Lucas interrupts the wedding at the end or something, doesn't he?
Yeah. I mean, I think the wedding gets stopped, right?
Okay. All right.
They're going. Someone's going down the aisle,
and Candice Bergen gets very mad. Okay.
Right.
The other one that I would have is that one that's really underrated with Cameron Diaz and Christina Applegate.
Oh my God.
The sweetest thing.
The sweetest thing. That's an underrated wedding movie.
They go to a wedding in the movie, but it's not like a wedding movie. They just happen to go to a wedding.
Movie is amazing.
No, but which is the one where they don't they have to wear weird outfits at the end?
Yeah.
Yes, they have to.
They go to that
at the end. It's just
like that store in the little town, and they get the outfits.
They just decide to go to this wedding, so they don't have clothes, right, or something.
Oh, right. That's it. Right. That's right. That's right. They're not. I don't know. Whatever.
They're just they're just trying to meet Thomas Jane.
The sweetest thing, just the fact that there's like that piece of fish in their car for like a good part of the movie. It's so funny. And Selma Blair's character is like so filled with like slapstick and like anyways, that's a Thomas
great
Jane
movie.
and Bateman, Jason Bateman playing against type. Jason Bateman's playing the sort of like slob character instead of the like uptight one.
That movie doesn't get enough credit.
Underrated.
It's very funny and very like raunchy. And yeah, I've seen that movie many times. I find that movie hilarious.
It's fantastic.
I mean, Applegate is
and Diaz, who has retired from acting, which is kind of too bad because I hope she'll make a comeback.
So funny.
Yeah, I mean, when she wants to, but if not, she's delivered. Okay, so The Graduate, Student of Alabama, and The Wedding Singer, buy, rent, or meh, and justify your answer.
I went first last time.
Okay, I'll go first. The Wedding Singer is the buy. I just wanted a reason to put that song like that. Not only is it like the buy, but it's also maybe the greatest musical wedding moment, like one of the best musical moments in a movie ever. I'm going to rent Student of Alabama because Student of Alabama, which I love, is the definition of a renter. It's a movie that's constantly on TBS or TNT, and I'm always watching like pieces of it, but I'm never like, let me start Student of Alabama from the beginning. And The Graduate is like that is sort of the quintessential wedding interruption scene. But as Mom always reminds us, when you see the look on their faces when they're on the bus at the end of the movie and you sort of track this overall story, like they're not going to end up happy. No, there's no happy.
Oh, no. That movie's
that's a movie about miserable people being miserable.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to meh The Graduate. How about, what do you all think?
Same. I think so.
All right.
Yeah.
I feel like, to be clear with The Graduate, it's because while you could study it in film school, if you're not going to do that, it's one and done. You watch it once, you don't rewatch it. I feel like unless you're like a cinephile and you're going to study filmmaking and filmmaking of that era, you're just going to be like, oh, look, I watched The Graduate because it's a classic. And I can say I watched it, and now I never need to see it again because it actually like made me very uncomfortable and was quite depressing.
A lot of Paul Simon songs.
There's so many wedding movies. Like if you think about it, there's like.
But recently, I don't feel like there have been very good wedding movies.
No, and then like The Ringer with Kevin Hart. You know, there's that whole
the
kind
Ringer?
of like.
Is it The Wedding Ringer? Is what it's called?
Or The Wedding Ringer?
That
no, The Ringer's a different movie. It's The Wedding Ringer.
Josh Gad and Kevin Hart.
Right, Josh Gad, and I think it's kind of in the I Love You Man vein of like the scenario of the wedding where they need to find a stand-in.
I just want to now go watch I Love You Man. Like again with Tio Mario. Watching, there's certain people that you want to watch.
What's the friend?
Hank Mardukas.
Hank Mardukas.
Just that alone makes it so special. Okay, let's talk. Let's wrap our weddings here. Let's break the glass. Let's move to the horror, the shout outs, and the Rex. I'm going to start because last night, Allie and I saw In the Heights from.
Why couldn't you wait till like that would be a perfect family vacation movie for like a week? Like you can't like hold out 1 week. You're so annoying.
First of all, Allie really wanted
They will both rewatch.
We'll rewatch it. We want to rewatch it with Mom. Are you kidding? And Allie, when Allie gets so excited to see a movie, I mean, think about what I force her to endure in terms of movies and television. When she gets so excited, like she was so excited that she stayed up until 1 o'clock or 1:30 last night finishing. This is a long movie. And I, it's a beautiful movie. The music is beautiful. The color palette is beautiful. In some ways you can sort of tell it was his first musical and not his second musical, right? Like Hamilton is sort of has this like
that's interesting.
Like it's sort of like In the Heights does it, but Hamilton takes his formula and like pushes it to this like other level of depth with all the history and the sort of like challenging assumptions and everything like that. So that raises the stakes of it. But I actually like my experience of In the Heights, especially because the music is so deeply ingrained in different types of Latin music. So like when there's a Cuban character singing, the music feels Cuban, right? And like for us and for our side of the family in particular, because of that, in those moments, like I felt like the spirit of Boba Solunia and like all those people like in our family in the movie, right? Like there's an abuela who's Cuban in the movie, and like that part is great. I think like overall as a movie, like it's a 2 hour and 25 minute runtime, although a lot of it's credits. Like Act 1 was like outstanding, and you could actually, like, Allie was like, oh, I'm like, Allie, I think there's an hour left in this movie, and Allie's like, no, it's got to be ending. I'm like, no, if you like listening to the music,
Based
this
on a
sounds
play.
like I'm like,
Plays
this sounds
are
like
really long.
This feels like
Right.
the end of Act 1 we're hitting here, and it was outstanding. Like the whole end of Act 1, like they could have just done like another half hour after Act 1, and I think this would be like an Oscar
Like
movie.
theater productions are long.
They're really long, and like
I don't know.
Show me a play where 20 minutes into Act 2, you're not ready for a nap.
I know Act
saying.
2. Oh yeah, Act 2 is always like, So Act 2, I thought like just sort of dragged, and it wasn't as interesting. There were some really good moments. But Act 1 was like out of this world, and especially the moments when they thread in the specifically Cuban music, like that spoke to me and really touched me. And anyways, Allie and I can't wait to watch it with Mom. Like that was our first reaction is, oh my goodness, we can't wait to watch it with Mom. So In the Heights, 100% a buy, 100% a buy. And everybody in it is amazing. All of the actors, everyone is incredible. It even has some Jimmy Smits in there for Mom.
Mom loves a good Jimmy Smits cameo.
You gotta have Jimmy Smits in there for Mom. So and Mark Anthony.
Mark Anthony. I was say Mark Anthony's in it too. Those are like Mom's gonna be very.
Although Mark Anthony plays like a very like rundown, like weathered by life character. Like you almost don't recognize him at first, but he's still Mark Anthony, and Mom loves a Mark Anthony situation. So, anyways, hi, Mark.
Is John Leguizamo in it? Because I feel like he should be in it.
He's not in the movie.
He's so great. I feel like
but I don't know if he's a singer. I don't know if he's.
I think he is. Wasn't he?
He's not in the movie, but
did he not sing in?
There isn't.
Romeo and Juliet? What are you thinking?
Romeo and Juliet? Tu Wong Fu? No?
There is, I don't know.
I don't think so.
But there isn't like
maybe not.
I would say like there's a lot of parts in the film, but I there wasn't one that jumped out to me that would have been like his role.
I feel like we need to see him a little more often. Where did he go? He's great.
Amazing. But no, he's not in the movie.
All right, I thought he was a singer, but I guess not.
All right. So Lily, what are you watching?
Got nothing. I got nothing for you guys.
Okay.
Zilch. It's been.
I'm watching something.
What are you watching?
Wait. I will say this. Sorry. I will say this. Again, we traveled overseas, so it's been tough with the jet lag and everything. Of course, I watched Crazy Ex-Girlfriend on the plane, obviously, on season 3 of that, and I started, and I'm really excited to keep watching Special on Netflix, season 2. That came out. It's such a great show. If you haven't seen it, watch it. It's like only like 6 or 7 episodes or something, and it's fantastic. And I will say that I'm extremely excited for the last season of Bosch. If you are listening to this podcast and you need like a great detective show with like 7 seasons, this is your show on Amazon Prime. And Never Have I Ever season 2, July 15th. I'm excited for all these
that
fun summer shows.
Very excited for that.
And in 6 days, 6 days, this band will be back together in person. Yeah. So that's the show I'm the most excited about.
I'm bringing the podcast gear on vacation.
Should I bring my microphone? I can bring my mic. Do you need me to bring my microphone?
You don't need to bring a microphone because I'll bring my portable microphone setup.
All right, cool. So I have been watching Special season 2. It is very special. Still a huge recommend on that. And it's been talked about on this show before. We'll talk about it again. I am up to the last episode of season 1 of Patriot, and our minds are blown. I don't understand how it's so good. How is it so
How long have I been saying not only is this a good show, but that it would be perfect for Vlad?
It's like perfect for Vlad. He's obsessed with it. We're just like, we can't get over it.
And I'm amazed that you watched it before Perpetual Grace too, because it's harder to get into.
It's harder.
No, from the first episode, we were just like, this is incredible. It's like how it's layered. It's so well done. And the
amazing.
main actor is phenomenal. And I knew that you said that the creator's brother is an actor in the show. Chris Conrad
Dennis.
is but I didn't realize I didn't know who he played. I just knew he was in the show. So I kept saying, I think the main actor is like the creator's brother. Like I thought that. And then I finally looked up the credits because we probably at episode 3 or 4 at this point and losing our minds over Dennis. Like every time he'd be in a scene, we would just be like, how is he so funny? How is he so good? Who wrote how is this part even written? Was it written for this guy? Because I don't even know who you write this part, let alone perform it for it to be so specific.
And then when you see Perpetual Grace,
your mind will be blown
by how great an actor
how great an actor
so good.
Is,
he's so I'm just
his character.
And you know what? Okay, I wanna touch back on something. When we were talking about Falcon and Winter Soldier, my criticism was that it was trying too hard to be cinematic and to say, hey, we're just not a regular show. Look at us. We're real cinema. We're like a movie. And I was like, ugh, it's trying so hard. It's laying it on so thick that it's like, look, we're more than a TV show. And it like rubbed me the wrong way. And every single scene, every shot of Patriot, I'm like punching Vlad in the arm going like, how is it so cinematic? Like, it's so beautiful. The composition, the camera movements, the choreography, like the blocking of people. Like, it's so precise. It is. It's
the scene where they go to get the book. The scene where they go to get the book in the library. Right?
Or there's just I saw that already. The scene where they go to get the book in the library. I was like jumping on the couch. Then they do this many times in the film, where the main character, John, is sitting outside of his office in these like giant cement pipes, like cement tubes, and have this very intricate choreography of people coming up to him one after the other, like each with their threat or complaint, and the way that they pass each other only with like moments between them as this like really, really like micro push in is happening. And it's like, I can't even imagine. Like, it's so
you can feel through the cinematography and the shots, you can
like the tension.
Feel the tension.
And it's so minimal and so powerful.
The rock, paper, scissors scene between the detective and him is one of my favorite. I posted an Instagram thing about it like years ago. Mark Toner gets the I Told You show for that. Even though I get it for you guys, but he's the original.
Oh my God, what I would do to meet these guys. Like, what?
Told you. Now you feel my obsession, right? You get my obsession. I can't wait for you to see.
And the music is ridiculous. The music
original music.
But the original music is amazing, and then the music supervision, like the tracks that they choose to license, like using the Beastie Boys song, and like it's just it's perfect.
Perpetual Grace is almost all like original recordings for the show. I don't know like what's a cover.
They created a band.
The Jones Sisters. That band. The band for that is like incredible.
I really get it. Yeah, I really like
that. That's good. I'm so glad you're loving that show. It's a great show. Mm-hmm. There's actually a really funny scene in Superstore where like they're making fun of Jonah for always his like fancy taste of things, and one of the things they make fun of him for is complaining that like not enough people watch Patriot season 2, which I think is like so funny.
That's hilarious.
As much as you love Dennis in season 1, he levels up in season 2.
No,
he is.
But
amazing
I will say
in season 2.
He is amazing in season 2. But I will say that you haven't finished, right? Season 1?
No.
You'll text me when you get to the last episode of season 1.
Stop. Just don't even say anything. You have such a way of ruining things. Just don't say anything.
Lily,
I'm not ruining it. You will text me.
Did you cut your hair? What's going on?
Did you get your hair? It's so short.
What is this?
This little bob you have. This lob you have going on.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
It's so cute. It's so adorable. I love it.
Hosting a morning show with that too.
Thank you, I guess. Maybe.
Or have like a wellness Instagram account.
Yeah.
That's like what I could see. Where you like do yoga and show us juice recipes.
Well, Becky,
it's the opposite of me, but yes.
Becky, where can people follow you for yoga and juice recipes?
At Paper BK Princess on Twitter.
And Lily, where can people follow you?
At Chichi CHICHI Gomez GOMEZ on Twitter.
And you can follow me at Pancake and the number 4 table. That's Pancake 4Table on Twitter and Instagram. You can follow all of the Friday Night Movie shenanigans at Fry Night Movie on Twitter and Instagram, or FridayNightMoviePod.com. Please join us in supporting the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, the Equal Justice Initiative, and the Asian American Journalists Association. And with that, the theme music will kick in by What Does It Eat? And we will dance our way into this lovely afternoon. And bye, guys. I'll see you in person.
See you.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.